Hollis and Hollis Farms this morning. We locked and loaded. It's cold this morning. Maybe they'll move. I saw 3 deer a while ago before those came out. I don't know why they acting so spooky. I think the wind's perfect, which it ain't even blowing. It's just, it may be drifting that way, but it's not supposed to be. I had that heater on a while ago and it popped. They seem spooky this morning. I don't know. was something under me or behind me that I hadn't seen. It kind of had me pinned down for a while. I know they can't see up in here. I'm not sure what's going on. I got a limb that I cut the other day right here in front of me, but it's been a while. That shouldn't be it. Never know about these things. A coyote or something could have been through and they smelling that. I don't know. They didn't run off. They just kind of eased off in the woods. It's still early. It's a big old frost and it's cold this morning. I may have to crank his heater back up in a little while. Kind of cheating this morning.
Alright, y'all. That was a pretty good little hunt this morning. Oh, made it back to the truck. Still a little early, but I got some stuff I gotta do. I'm fixing to eat this little honey bun real quick, and then I got something I want to talk to y'all about, so I'll be right back. Alright, y'all, I got done with my honey bun. Just got y'all set up here on the dash of the Toyota. Here's what I wanted to talk about today, and I've titled some videos about this, but I don't know how in depth I've ever talked about it or explained why or what on this what we do. What I want to talk about today is, y'all will hear me mention from time to time he's a cull buck or whitetail cull buck or whatever. I know I've done a couple of videos. I know one of them was titled Monster Mississippi Cull Buck or something, and then I shot a big one last year and he got away, and I'm pretty sure the one that I got the other day might be it. I'm looking to see how much my cold weathers works on the batteries. I'm on my little Sony right now, and the cold works on the batteries pretty good. But what I want to talk about that a little bit. Y'all excuse me for dipping snuff right here and spitting in front of y'all. I know I need to quit. I just got to get that on my mind to do, and I just hadn't done that yet. But anyway, we're going to talk about cull bucks and not me dipping snuff. Cull buck, you never heard of cull bucks. I'm 45 years old. You never heard of that growing up. You kind of started hearing it from Texas and all that stuff. Cull buck, everybody that's managing their whitetail herd, a cull buck kind of means something different, and I'm not going to get into kind of what it means to everybody else. I'm going to get into it, what it means to us here at Hollis Farms, and what our goals are. And these things change as we mature with hunting, and things change a little bit with who I've got hunting with me, and Brian's case, back when his kids were little. We've still got Cody that's little. Not much rules gonna be on Cody. But back to the cull buck. Years ago, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the past. Years ago, Mississippi State come out with a deal when I was probably 10, so it's been 35 years ago maybe. Once a spike, always a spike, and we was in a club then that actually joins the property here in Alabama, and I forget what you could kill over there then. The rules were strict. I mean, at that point, me and Brian couldn't go over there with Daddy as guests, but one of us at a time. So where I was hunting this morning, our first little piece of property, whoever didn't get to go with Daddy to this club would hunt over there. But anyway, we killed a pile of spikes. I can remember killing 2 or 3 or 4 in an afternoon. I mean, you tell a 10-year-old kid that he can shoot all the spikes he wants to shoot, he's gonna hammer down, and we did. But we've learned that we learned that way before we got in the deer business, that was a bunch of bull. But I've also learned there's a lot of bunch of bull that come out of these colleges. But anyway, that's a subject for another day. But what our goals are pretty much is to shoot mature deer. And when I call him a cull, just like this morning, that biggest 8-point that came in there, one of the last ones I filmed, may have been the last one I filmed. I was on the edge. He wasn't close enough to shoot with a crossbow, but I'm thinking rifle. I was on the edge of thinking about shooting him. Alright? I've kind of changed the last few years. We used to shoot. It got to the point at one point, if it was 3 or 4 years old and just an 8-point, we would shoot him, because we was really pushing to get 9 and 10 points. And by the time they're 3 or 4, if they ain't got 10 points, they're about not gonna have them. They may put on some little bitty G4s, but it ain't enough to amount to nothing. Score doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I killed a deer 10 or 12 years ago, one of the last big ones well, before some of these recent ones. But I mean, I was in my mid-30s before I ever scored a deer. That deer scored 158, and I've got 30 or 40. I'll have to get some of them out one day and show y'all, do a video on them. I've got, I don't know, at one time I had 30 or 40 or 50 mounted, and I just never scored them. Them deer, they were trophies to me, and they meant a lot to me. At one time, I don't know if I could do it now, at one time when they was all hanging in the house, I could tell the story on each one of them, and that's what it meant to me. But we're trying to kind of stepping forward. When we call it a cull buck, we're not gonna hardly shoot anything. Like that biggest 8-point this morning, I'm almost 100% sure he'll be a 4-year-old. I don't really want to shoot any deer till they're 5 to 6 years old. Right situation, right place over in Mississippi, we catch a 5-year-old 10-point that's just got it all, it's a good possibility I'll let him go. Where I'm hunting here is a smaller piece of property. I probably wouldn't let him walk, and the genetics here in Alabama are not near as good as what we got over in Mississippi. So like the big deer I killed over here last year, he probably scored, if you want to go score, 40s, mid-high 40s. That is a stud for over here. Over in Mississippi, big deer, but not that big a deal. The genetics are so much better over there. But basically, if it's not what you would consider, and this is us now, we've been doing it a long time, and I'm not tooting our horn. I'll never, if somebody shoots a deer and mounts it or doesn't mount it, whatever, I don't care what anybody does on their own place. This is just what we do on our place, and I wanted to try to explain what I call a cull before we ever get started in the hunting season. But like I saw him this morning, he was and I didn't get to video him because he was so far down through them sawtooths and he was walking fast. It was a big 7-point. And I videoed him the other day when I was in here bow hunting, and I had him at 20 yards and should have shot him, but I was trying to drop a trap on that hog. But anyway, that's what I call a cull. If it's a 5-year-old plus deer that excuse me, that I wouldn't necessarily want breeding and passing them genetics on, that's what I'm gonna call a cull. I'm more interested in the piece of property over in Mississippi is a little bit bigger and should be able to manage a little better, and I'm never gonna hardly talk about acres, so y'all, no need in, most of y'all that's watched, no need in asking that question. That's just something that I don't want to talk about. But I'll be more apt on a bigger piece of property, and I may take the chance down here some. If I see a good 10-point that I would love to be doing some breeding, I'll shoot them others and try to give him more room to stay and not as much competition to do the breeding. So what, in my eyes, and I'm thinking about culls that I got on video, killed a big 7-point over in Mississippi last year that walked that bridge. That deer was, I'm gonna say he was 6-year plus. Well, actually he walked the bridge and I was fooling with my camera and didn't get a shot, and I ended up shooting him way across that creek that afternoon when Brian helped me get him out. He was a toad now, but he didn't hardly have much of a rack. My notifications going off. I got to make sure we ain't got a pig under the trap. But let me check this real quick. Service ain't the best right here. Don't want to act right. I'll look at that later. But if it's not what we would consider, and you know, there's nothing wrong. I love a monster heavy horned 8-point. I don't mind a monster heavy horned 6-point, but I'm gonna call them a cull if they're 5 years old plus. Now, backing up a little bit more, if they're 4 years old, possibly a 3-year-old, and just a 6-point or a big old spike or something, I'm gonna call that deer earlier. But for an 8-point, because most of your deer's gonna be 8 points anyway. I wouldn't mind letting him get 5 or 6, like that deer we filmed today. If he makes it and can get another year or two and put on some mass, he'll be a big old nice 8 point. So when I call it a cull, it'll be most likely an old 7 point down. When you start talking about, in my mind, in our eyes, when he's a big old 8 point, 9, 10, 12, 11, whatever, that's when I start calling a trophy that we're looking for. They're all trophies, don't get me wrong. If you kill a 5-year-old deer, you have done something anywhere in the world. The thing that I see, that me and Brian was talking about this the other day, and I hate it for folks. I'm gonna get on this subject for just a minute too. I'm gonna try to see what's walking around my camera real quick. The thing that, like we was talking about the other day, when we was growing up in school and all, you talked about deer hunting, and you never heard anybody ask about what the deer score. You know, back then, if you killed a deer that was 20 inches wide, that's what everybody was looking for. They didn't care if he was a spike. If he was 20 inches wide. And then the TV and stuff rolled around, and it's the TV and all the big people on TV, they've helped it as much as they've hurt it. You got to be realistic in this deal. Most of them things you see are Illinois, up through there and all. You gotta realize, when they kill a 3-year-old deer up there, it's liable to be 200 inches. They're killing deer like I could grow breeding them here in Alabama when I was doing all that breeding. And y'all saw, I mean, 99% of the deer we was shooting was 2 years old, and a lot of them was 1-year-olds. So you got to look at that. If you're in Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, there's big deer everywhere. But as a rule of thumb, it's going to be hard for us to regularly kill a 180 or 90, 170 down in here where we're from. So the best thing to do, in my eyes, birds make that thing go off. In my eyes, is our best management program. The goal we've come up with is to shoot age. I like to shoot old deer. At big 7 point, he is on my list. And then the deer that I filmed the other day that had one side and a limp, I'm gonna say that deer's 4 years old. You gotta shoot a certain amount of deer to keep. I'm not a doe fan killing person. I don't mind shooting them. I would first rather take out my cull bucks, and then if you've got too many deer, I would start on the does then. But I can think of 2 or 3 down here on this little piece of property that need to be shot. The 7 point, I know he's 5 years old. The one that had one side the other day that had that limp, he possibly could have been a big deer, but since he's injured himself 9 times out of 10, I'm getting hot, he ain't gonna come out of that opposite side of that rack. If he's injured his right leg, his left rack, and I can't remember what side he's messed up on, but his left side's gonna be most likely messed up for life. So I would rather go ahead and take him out and let some of these younger bucks that's perfect keep on growing to get to their potential. I just had another thought on my mind and I lost. Oh yeah, a lot of people want to, it's hard to explain if you hadn't seen many on what a mature deer looks like. If y'all will go back last year or year before, maybe a year before now, to some of my deer hunting videos, a lot of y'all seen them, but a lot of you new subscribers, go back and look. I think it was titled Monster Mississippi Cull Buck or something. I'm filming a few does and maybe a little 10 point, and I'm pretty fired up I get fired up about seeing stuff that's got good potential. And then I'm talking about, I'm filming and I'm not even looking at the field. I'm looking at my viewfinder on my camera like I'm looking at y'all right now, and this thing steps in the camera. And the best way to explain it what I tell everybody, there's deer walking across the road in front of me right now. When you see this deer, you'll know him. The best way you can watch about any animal, you watch a big old Brahma bull when he gets mature, he's just all chest. It's like he ain't got a neck. And a mature whitetail, the one I killed the other day on the ground, the video was dark, but he was the same way. When that deer steps out, it's like, my goodness, look at that. And you ain't even looking at his rack now. You gotta leave the rack alone. When you're managing, you put something over the rack when you look through your scope or binoculars and go head down. Don't paint it. The rack will get you in trouble, and it liable to me, get me, and I'll have it on film if we do it and y'all can get on to me. But it's when he steps out, that mature whitetail, when he gets 5-year-old plus, is gonna look like he's in full rut in the middle of the summer, because everything down here from his chest up is just solid. And when they get a little older, like some of these deer, one of them, that one I killed the other day, he's probably 6 or 7 because it gets shaky under here. Just kind of loose skin, but he's big, look like a bull. And like those deer this morning, the way I kind of compare them, when he's 3 or 4 years old, you get him broadside, he kind of up high in the back. He looks like a racehorse. Pull up on Google and look at a racehorse, how they look. Chest is pretty big, neck's real slick, and he kind of comes up in the back. So belly will come down and come up, and his rear end's a little high, look like a racehorse. That old deer, old mature deer, when you look at him, he just looks like a block all the way through. Big old, and a lot of people say, boy, his back was swagging. That ain't necessarily true. I ain't never went by no back swagging. Sometimes they'll have a belly, but when these deer's healthy at 5 or 6 years old, they ain't sway back like a 20-year-old horse, nor is their belly hanging much. I do, let me see, that one I killed the other day. Now, I got a picture of one the other day. I don't fool with cameras a lot, but I've been playing with them a little bit. I got one that's got a pretty good belly on it, but he ain't old. You'll know when he comes out from his front leg, he look like his legs is that long. And then that deer, like this morning, long legs. But when that deer gets mature, all 4 of his legs look like they're about to break. Like a big old hog, what they kind of look like. And a hog's the same way. When they get old, and y'all seen me catching some of these, y'all watch that hog, that big old mature boar hog or sow. Like their legs is that long, just body. No details. That might be a good word for it. No details. No details on their hindquarters and all. They just look like a bull. And here the opposite on a deer, I don't pay much attention to the head. But for sure, a whitetail buck, the older he gets, and I think it's because his doggone head gets so big and his neck, but his nose starts looking shorter. I mean, a lot shorter. When he's 3 or 4 years old, that thing's long. As he gets older, that thing starts looking short. It'll look pointy when he's young, and then when it gets old, it's like it comes from his eyes straight to his nose, just short. And then it's right the opposite on an old doe. The older she gets, you'll hear people talk. That old long-nosed doe blowing at me. Well, she's probably 5 or 6 or 7 years old, and she's blowing because she done seen you sitting in that stand or smelt you all her life. So, them's the does that I'll shoot. Y'all liable to catch one blowing at us on this video camera, and we are gonna drop the hammer on her, because she will run your hunt every day. And she's teaching them little ones, boy, to be smart. Them old does, them 5, 6, 7-year-old does, their babies is smarter than anything. If she has a button buck, you probably won't never kill him, because she done raised him to be smart. But that's just a little bit. I'm trying not to ramble, but I wanted to talk to y'all about that before we got a bunch of comments when I start talking about cull bucks and stuff, because y'all will hear me talk, because it's just normal language for us. This is just what we do. But you know, to each his own. I don't care if somebody on their own property shoots a spike every time he walks out. I still like to drop the hammer, and y'all liable to catch me get fired up. I may not do it with this crossbow, but if I get my regular bow out and it's about 25 degrees one morning and that 4-year-old 8-point walks onto me, I'm probably finna drop the hammer on him, just because I've killed a lot of big deer with my bow, but it just don't happen every day. And I remember years ago, and I still think this, and my daddy told me this, I killed my first deer with a bow when I was 10. I had a Bear mini mag. It was set on 20 pounds, and I was shooting my daddy's arrows. My arrows was as long as my bow, and we were shooting it was a 6-bladed satellite broadhead back then. The whole thing spun. It was a neat deal, but everybody said you can't kill no deer with that thing, and the first deer I killed was a doe. Shot all the way through. I didn't have no sights, nothing. I was shooting like an Indian with a compound bow. But if you imagine, we'll talk about that a little bit. If you imagine, I told everybody, I said, y'all set that, and it does more than this when you shoot it. I said, y'all set that broadhead with them razor blades on, maybe not on the bone, but put it down there in your belly where it ain't no meat, ain't no bone, and let me drop a 25 or 20 pound weight on it and see what it does. It's finna go through you. So it's all, bow hunting still the same way. It's all about shot placement, but it ain't gotta be. I got some grown men now I know shooting 45 pounds or so because their shoulders and stuff so bad, and that's what I need to be doing, and I may do that for us over with. But where was I at? Back to the cull bucks. Yeah, what my daddy told me, he said, you know, back then you didn't shoot much over 20, 30 yards. You get any deer within 20, 30 yards, it's a trophy. Especially our old doe. She'll bust you up there in that ladder stand. We hunting out a wooden ladder stand a lot back then. But anyway, so things sometimes change. We are fortunate enough to have several places to hunt. There'll be some places I hunt that I would shoot a deer that I might not shoot on a little bigger place if he was in the middle of a place where I knew he wasn't going to be bothered. So it's a little different deal right there. But as a rule, that's what we're after, is these 5, 6, 7-year-old deer. You know, a lot of people holler they mature at 4. Nah, they holler up north. You see them on them TV shows, they just shot a mature deer. That deer wasn't 3 years old. He would have been a giant. Not knocking him, because he's already nearly 200 inches at 3, just like these deer we raised. But down here, I mean, we got to let them get old because we just don't have the genetics. It's just a whole different type of deer. So, but anyway, a little bit on the cull deer. Y'all see one step out with just like that the other day. I'd have loved to filmed him, but I was on the ground, and the one I shot late the other day, he's a 5-year-old. Camera wasn't really good enough to pick up at late, but if I get the opportunity at one of them deer, I'm gonna show him to him for sure when he gets on the ground, and I'm gonna try to video shooting him, but it may not happen because that opportunity don't come across all the time, because that deer is not like a normal deer. When he gets to be 5 years old, he starts at 4, but when he gets to be 5-year-old plus, he's not your normal whitetail deer anymore. He's different. And you can kill him during the rut sometimes. He ain't gonna get stupid. He might come out there after that doe or sometime, but a lot of things about that old mature buck, he can lay up in that thicket and then mature does will go to him, and he ain't even got to chase him. He's just an old stud. They just know him, they'll go to him, and he'll take care of business, and he ain't never got to come out of there. But you can get him sometime, you keep that pressure low. But that's what we're after. We're after that big Brahma bull looking deer, and if he's got 10 point, I mean, he's still a trophy. I love hunting old deer. I may call him a cull, but that's why, because it's not necessarily what I want to be breeding. Not that there's anything wrong with him, but when I killed, like that deer I killed last year, that down here, it was right where I was sitting this morning. He big old 9, 10 point, whatever he was. It may have been 11 point, but he was a stud. That's the biggest deer I believe I'd ever killed down here, and I probably told y'all that. But anyway, I'm gonna quit rambling, and I'm probably gonna call this video a day today. And just wanted to talk a little bit about that Cull deal. Hope I answered most of the questions before they ever get asked, but I'm gonna try to do that from now on. Start seeing some stuff and think about it. I'll try to answer little questions before they get started. A lot easier for me to answer them right here than go through all them comments, even though I do and will read all them comments. A lot of these things I'm not going to answer in detail because it's so getting to be where it's so many these days, and I sure appreciate it. Y'all keep commenting it, but I try to answer them sometimes when I'm riding down the road or not busy. I keep so much going on it's hard to do, but just wanted to go through that, and I catch something else and get into turkey season and the racing and stuff. I'll try to do some videos, and as y'all comment, my wheels go to spinning, and then I can do a video and kind of keep y'all up to snuff, as so to speak, as what we got going on and what we're thinking. But anyway, if y'all like our stuff, subscribe to us. Hollis Farms, hats, t-shirts, and stickers, hollisfarms.com. Appreciate y'all watching. Out of here.